The late afternoon sun hung low in the sky, painting the quiet country road in shades of gold and orange. Birds chirped softly from the trees, and the wind rustled through the tall grass that lined the cracked pavement. It was the kind of road people rarely traveled unless they had a reason: too far from town, too quiet, too lonely. Pedaling along on his worn-out bicycle was a young black boy named Marcus. The bike was too small for him now, his knees rose high with each push, and the chain squeaked with every turn of the wheel. But Marcus didn't mind. That bicycle had carried him to school, to the corner store, and down these long country paths where he often dreamed about the future. For him, it was freedom. As he rounded a bend, Marcus spotted something unusual ahead. A sleek black car, shining even beneath a layer of road dust, sat pulled over on the shoulder. Its hazard lights blinked like a silent call for help. Marcus slowed down, curiosity pulling him closer. This was no ordinary car, it was a luxury vehicle, the kind he had only seen in magazines or on TV. Inside, through the tinted window, he caught a glimpse of the driver. A man in an expensive suit sat gripping the steering wheel, his expression hard and impatient. Every few seconds, the man glanced at his watch, tapping his fingers against the leather interior. Something was wrong. As Marcus drew nearer, he noticed the problem: the front tire had gone flat. The man had already stepped out once, pacing the roadside, but now he sat back inside, frustration written all over his face. To Marcus, the sight was almost surreal: a millionaire stranded on a lonely country road, far from the polished streets where such cars belonged. He slowed his bike to a crawl, balancing on the pedals. His first thought was to keep riding. After all, what could a boy with no tools, no money, and no real experience offer to a man like that? But then, another thought pushed its way through the doubt. His mother's voice echoed in his mind: "If you see someone in need, son, don't just walk away. God puts us in each other's path for a reason." Marcus stopped completely, his bike wobbling beneath him. He looked down at his dusty clothes, at his scraped sneakers, and then back at the gleaming car. A part of him wanted to turn around, to avoid the awkwardness, but something in his chest, something warm and insistent, urged him forward. The boy kicked down the kickstand and stepped toward the car. His shadow stretched long across the gravel as he called out timidly, "Sir, do you need some help?" The man turned his head sharply, surprised by the small voice. For a moment, silence filled the air. Two worlds, one of wealth and power, the other of simplicity and struggle, stood face to face on that lonely road. Neither of them could have guessed that this chance meeting would change both their lives forever. The man stepped out of the car, adjusting his suit jacket as though brushing away invisible dust. His face was tired, tense, and lined with impatience. Marcus could see him more clearly now: expensive shoes, a gold watch glinting in the sunlight, and eyes that looked at Marcus with a mix of surprise and doubt. "You?" the man said, raising a brow. "Son, this isn't a game. I've got an important meeting, and this flat has already ruined my schedule." Marcus hesitated, clutching the handlebars of his bike. "I know, sir," he said quietly. "But I can help. I've changed my mama's car tire before. It ain't too different." The man let out a short, disbelieving laugh. "You? In those clothes? With no tools?" He glanced around, as though expecting someone more qualified to appear out of thin air. But the road was empty, just the two of them and the broken car. Something inside Marcus hardened. He wasn't used to being dismissed, but he was used to being underestimated. He stepped forward, steady and sure. "Just pop the trunk, sir." "I'll try." For a moment, the man studied him, and then, perhaps out of desperation, he pressed a button, and the trunk clicked open. Inside sat a spare tire, gleaming like it had never been touched, and a jack still sealed in its compartment. Marcus rolled up his sleeves. His hands weren't big, but they were steady, used to chores and fixing what little his family had. He knelt down beside the car, the gravel biting into his knees, and got to work. The millionaire stood back, arms crossed, watching. At first, his expression was skeptical. But as minutes passed, his face shifted. Marcus, small and determined, pushed with all his strength, loosening stubborn bolts, lifting the heavy tire, balancing it just right as he set it in place. Sweat dripped down his forehead, streaking his dusty skin, but he never complained. The man spoke after a long silence. "Why are you doing this? You could have just ridden past." Marcus paused only for a second, glancing up at him with a small grin. "My mama always says, helping someone in need is never a waste of time. Besides, someday I wanna fix cars for real. This is good practice." The man blinked, caught off guard by the answer. It was so simple, so honest, yet it cut deeper than he expected. Within 20 minutes, the job was done. The shiny new tire stood proudly where the flat had been, and Marcus rose to his feet, brushing dirt off his pants. His clothes were smudged, his palms scraped, but his smile was bright. "All set, sir," Marcus said, stepping back. For the first time, the millionaire truly looked at him, not as a poor boy on a broken bike, but as someone with grit, kindness, and a spirit money couldn't buy. And in that moment, standing by his repaired car, the man realized, he hadn't just been helped. He had been humbled. The millionaire leaned against his polished car, staring at the boy who had just changed his tire. For a long moment, he didn't speak. The air was heavy, filled only with the sound of cicadas buzzing in the trees and Marcus's steady breathing after his hard work. Finally, the man broke the silence. His tone was softer this time, no longer sharp with impatience. "Kid, why did you really stop? You don't know me. You don't owe me anything. Most people would have just kept riding." Marcus wiped his dirty hands on his shirt, a little embarrassed by the question. He glanced at his old bicycle leaning against the grass, then back at the man. "Because you needed help, sir. And if it were me stuck here, I'd hope someone would stop for me too." The man tilted his head, intrigued. "But you knew I was a stranger. Didn't it scare you?" Marcus shrugged, his young shoulders rising with a kind of innocence the man had forgotten long ago. "My mama says people are people. Don't matter rich or poor, black or white. If someone's in trouble, you help." Those words landed heavier than Marcus could have imagined. The millionaire looked down at his gold watch, suddenly feeling how useless it had been while he sat stranded. He thought about the dozens of times he had passed by broken cars on the highway, never slowing down, always telling himself he was too busy. Yet here stood a boy with nothing, no car, no wealth, not even proper tools, who stopped without hesitation. "What's your name, son?" the man asked, his voice quieter now. "Marcus," the boy replied with a proud smile. "Marcus," the man repeated, as if committing it to memory. He studied the boy a moment longer, then asked, "What do you want to do when you're older?" Marcus's smile faltered for just a second, then returned shyly. "I wanna fix cars. Real nice ones. Maybe even own a garage someday." His eyes sparkled at the thought, though a shadow crossed them too. The kind of shadow that comes when a dream feels far away. The millionaire noticed it. He had seen that look before, in his own reflection, years ago, when he was just starting with nothing but ambition. Something stirred in him, something he hadn't felt in a long time, respect. He reached into his pocket, pulling out a sleek business card. "Marcus, you've got something most people don't, heart. You didn't ask what I could give you. You just helped. That tells me more about you than anything else." He held out the card. "If you ever need me, call this number." Marcus hesitated before taking it, the white card looking almost unreal in his dirty hands. He didn't know what it meant, but he felt it was important. The man opened his car door, pausing one last time to look at Marcus. "You may not realize it yet," he said, "but today, you taught me something I'd forgotten." And with that, the millionaire drove away, leaving Marcus standing in the golden dust of the country road, clutching a card that would change his life forever. The days that followed felt ordinary to Marcus. He tucked the business card into a shoebox under his bed, alongside the few treasures he kept safe, an old photo of his mother, a baseball his uncle had given him, and a rusted wrench he'd found in a junkyard. The card didn't seem real, almost like a dream. Life went on. He biked to school each morning, his tires squeaking. After school, he helped his mom with chores and sometimes earned a few dollars fixing neighbors' lawnmowers. Yet, in the back of his mind, he couldn't shake the memory of that sleek black car, the stranger in the suit, and the way the man's voice softened when he said, "You taught me something I'd forgotten." One Saturday afternoon, Marcus was outside, tinkering with a broken radio he'd found in the trash, when a silver car pulled up in front of his small house. He looked up, squinting in the sunlight. The door opened, and to his astonishment, the same millionaire stepped out. This time without the stiff expression, without the rushing impatience. He walked with calm purpose, holding a thick envelope in his hand. "Marcus," he greeted warmly. Marcus blinked in shock. "Sir. You came back." The man smiled, crouching down so he was eye level with the boy. "I told you to call if you ever needed me. But I didn't want to wait for that. I've been thinking about what you told me, the way you want to fix cars, to own a garage one day." He tapped the envelope. "Dreams like that deserve a chance." He handed Marcus the envelope. The boy stared at it, hesitant, his small hands trembling as he opened it. Inside were papers, scholarship forms, letters, and even a check written out in his name. Marcus's eyes widened, his chest tightening as he realized what it meant. "This," the man explained, "is a scholarship to a top technical school. Everything you'll need, tuition, supplies, even tools. You won't have to worry about how to pay for it. You'll be free to chase your dream." Marcus's throat burned, his voice barely a whisper. "For me? But, why? I'm just a kid who fixed your tire." The man's eyes softened. "You're more than that. You reminded me that kindness matters. That time isn't just money, it's life. You gave me your time when you had nothing to gain. That act of goodness, it changed me. And now I want to make sure it changes you too." Tears welled in Marcus's eyes as he looked at the papers. His dream, something that had always felt too far away, was suddenly within reach. He thought of his mama, of all the nights she stayed up worrying about bills, of all the times she told him to keep believing. He thought of the dusty country road, and how a simple choice to stop had led to this moment. The millionaire placed a hand on Marcus's shoulder. "Someday, when you're running that garage, remember this, pass it forward. Help the next kid with a dream." Marcus nodded, overwhelmed. In that instant, he understood. One small act of kindness had started a ripple, and that ripple was about to. Marcus held the envelope against his chest as if it were the most precious thing in the world. His hands shook, not from fear but from the overwhelming weight of hope. For so long, his dreams had lived quietly inside him, too fragile to speak out loud, too distant to believe in fully. And now, here they were, alive on paper, stamped and sealed with possibility. When his mother came out onto the porch, wiping her hands on her apron, she froze at the sight of the well-dressed man beside her son. "Marcus?" she asked cautiously, her voice carrying both suspicion and curiosity. Marcus rushed forward, holding the envelope out to her. "Mama, look. He came back. He's giving me a scholarship. I can go to school. I can really learn to fix cars." His mother opened the envelope, scanning the letters inside. Her lips trembled as tears welled in her eyes. She looked up at the man, words failing her. But he simply nodded and said, "Your boy's got something special. He helped me when no one else would. This is just my way of helping him back." She covered her mouth, overwhelmed. Thank you," she whispered, her voice breaking. The millionaire only smiled. No need to thank me. Thank him. He reminded me what matters. That night, Marcus sat at the small kitchen table, the scholarship papers spread out before him. He couldn't stop tracing the words with his finger, as if he were afraid they'd disappear. His mother sat beside him, her hand resting gently on his shoulder, pride shining in her eyes. See, baby, she said softly. I told you, kindness always comes back. You planted a seed that day, and now it's growing. Marcus nodded, his young heart swelling with a new kind of determination. He wasn't just dreaming anymore, he was preparing. Weeks later, Marcus stood in front of a technical school, a backpack slung over his shoulders, brand new tools in his bag. As he walked through the gates, he thought about the dusty country road, the flat tire, the skeptical man in the suit. That single moment had changed everything. Years passed. Marcus grew from a boy with calloused hands into a young man with skill and confidence. He excelled at the school, his talent shining so brightly that instructors often said, "This kid's got the hands of a master mechanic." Eventually, with the millionaire's continued support and his own relentless drive, Marcus opened his very own auto shop. The sign above the door bore his name, and customers lined up not only for his skill but for the kindness and honesty he brought to every job. And true to his promise, Marcus never forgot the lesson. Whenever a kid walked by, peering curiously at the cars, Marcus welcomed them inside. He taught them, encouraged them, and sometimes even slipped a few dollars into their hands. Because he knew, better than anyone, that one act of compassion could change a life forever. The story closes with the image of Marcus, now grown, smiling as he helps another young boy pick up a wrench.